All right, here we go. Good morning. This is the Travis Neville Podcast. I'm Travis Neville. I wrote this book called The Jossman Method. You can get it at on Amazon. You can get it in, it's on Audible. You can get it at my publisher, which is Atlantic, blah, blah, blah. You guys have heard all that before. Happy Monday. I hope you had a great weekend. Hope you had an awesome time here in Southeast Michigan. We had at least sunny. It was sunny. It was cold, though. But at least it was sunny. It looked nice, got the grass cut, stuff like that. Excuse me. Hope it went well for you. Here we go with your dose of improving yourself and bringing more happiness to your life, I hope. This week, I want to talk about haters. All right. Big topic. Over the last couple of weeks, I've learned a lot about how that works. As I've gained a lot of them, I think. But let's start here. Let's start with the positives. If you've got haters in your life, and that means you're doing something right. I talked about it in the Actions of Leadership, which I think is 17. If you're in a position where you've got decisions to make and you've elevated to a certain spot, well, you're invariably going to upset people. And that's kind of a little different than this. Really what I'm going after here is this one concept. You must have accomplished something in your life. Whether it's a really good job, you might have a beautiful partner, a great house. Something's going well for you. You got the right job. You have some responsibility, some power, I guess. You have achieved something. You might just be handsome and charismatic. If you have that going for you, there's always going to be people who don't have that. Maybe you are a strong alpha a personality where you have you have demonstrated that you are willing to go after what you want, and you are not going to hesitate. You're not going to let fear slow you down. You're not going to let bumps in the road slow you down. You're not going to let anything back you down. Generally, people are going to be afraid of that, it's intimidated by that for sure. And then, people are going to be afraid of you for sure. And I'll go into psychology here in a second because there's some real science behind it. But know this, again, if you've got people in your life who are hating on you, it's because you're doing something well. I mean, you don't walk by a bum on the street and hate on them and talk about them on social media and shit. It doesn't work that way. So it works the opposite way. Haters hate on people who are above them. So to hate is to elevate. That was the thing I kept coming into. The more I did research on this, if somebody's hating on you, they're elevating you. They're admitting you're better than they are at something. You know what I mean? They're admitting that you're somewhere above them. And what a nice compliment, honestly. And that's what I said at the beginning. If you've got haters, you are doing something right. You're probably doing a lot of things right. That's pretty cool. You probably have a place of prominence. You're probably succeeding. Maybe you're charismatic. That's what it is. Even Kanye West, who's a polarizing figure, he said, if you wasn't you, you would be hating on you. Think about that. If you weren't you, would you want to be you? If the answer is yes, then that means other people would too. Okay, and that's where haters come from. So let's define what really a hater is. It's a term that gets thrown around a lot, and I want to kind of break it down in a few different categories here. So I think there's a big difference between a troll and a hater. All right, I'm going to tell you that a troll, you're probably not going to get a lot of them unless you have some kind of a public personality. A troll is somebody who doesn't know you, and they're going to talk shit about you, and it's going to happen online. That's how that goes. Somebody's going to just want to talk shit and insult you, and I guarantee you that most of them are going to use fake names. With this whole football thing, somebody used a fake name and sent out an email to the whole school district. That's a troll. I mean, if you're going to put stuff out on the internet and you're not going to tell us who you are, you're a troll. And at that point, this is my advice to you, successful individual who's listening to this, trying to get better at life. Ignore the shit out of them. They make no consequence. That person is just trying to fill some void in their lives and make themselves feel better. Generally, it works like this from the troll perspective. What it is it's somebody who wants everybody else to think that they are great. So they're going to use what's called virtue signaling to, again, make themselves look good. And that troll, so they're going to be on some kind of a public forum, Facebook or whatever, and they're going to lash out at you, trying to take you down or talking shit about you to a big group. And what they're trying to do is signal that I'm better than this person because I would never make that mistake that person made. Well, you probably made lots of other mistakes. We're all humans. We all make mistakes. And we've been through that shit. We've talked about it. So, yeah, that's what it is. They're trying to make everyone else believe something about themselves. And really what that goes back to, the psychology behind it, is they just don't feel that good about themselves. Something about that individual who's going to take shots at you from across the internet, they don't like themselves that much. Something in their life isn't going the way that they think that it should be going. Think about the energy that it takes to, first of all, figure out what the fuck is going on in the world enough to know what's going on in your life. And second, take the time to get out there and actually type something up on the internet and put it out there. I mean, I just think about the thought process there. Like, I don't go looking for things I don't like on the internet so I can talk shit about it. I don't have time. I mean, shit, I'm trying to run my business, and I'm doing this podcast, and I'm working on ideas for a second book, and fuck, I've got a lot of hobbies. I'm going to help my buddy put a new deck on his house here in a couple weeks. I'm painting another house up north. I have shit going on. I fill my time with shit that makes me happy. It doesn't make me happy to go hate on somebody. You know what I mean? Think about the amount of time that's in that. You know, how much work somebody's going to put into hating on you. It just doesn't make any sense. And so that's got to come from a place of, I don't like myself very much, so I'm going to lash out at you. You know, and that's the same concept of somebody that's going to road rage you, or, anything where there's some kind of anonymity to it. Or even somebody wants to light you up. I was painting that house at Sheboygan, and the woman who owns it had all this stuff in the garage, and she put it out at the curb for free. And it was really nice stuff. Like, she remodels furniture and does all this really cool shit. And some lady was standing there, like, grabbing some of the furniture, and some other lady pulls by and just motherfucks the shit out of her about where she parked her car. I mean, there's plenty of room. I'm thinking, we'll just fucking drive by. We're on a residential street. This isn't the highway. And I'm thinking about that lady. Wow, you must have had a shit day. As I'm watching her drive by, what the fuck happened to you? Anyway, that's a hater anonymously coming at you. They're gonna have something wrong with themselves, and so you don't respond. You just don't. You gotta ignore that shit. You gotta let that go. You just gotta let that shit go. If they're screaming at you from the stands and you don't know who they are, they don't have the courage and the decency to come up and talk to you about an issue, then you don't owe them your attention. So trolls, fuck them. Fuck them all right? Let them go. The next thing is, I guess that's a type of hater, but what I consider a hater is this. Let me go back to the trolls just for a second. Let's think about this. Let's think about what that is, okay? That's somebody who has taken their time to check you out online, and they're interested in what you're doing, and they're seeing what you have going on. Now, they got this hate going on inside of them, but tell me the difference between that and a fan. I mean, somebody who's following you and checking out all your shit, that's a fucking fan. So ultimately, a troll is just an angry fan. That's all they are. They're fans of yours. You should be excited about that. Look at you. You got fans. Congratulations. Same thing, I think, with an actual hater. I'm going to tell you that this is a different category, because what I define as a hater is somebody that knows you. Somebody who is an acquaintance of yours, or an employee of yours, or a pseudo friend, whatever it is, who, for whatever reason, and I've got a bunch of bullet points here, but they celebrate when you fail. You know what I mean? I mean, what kind of asshole does that? You celebrate when someone else fails. That's some awful shit. You know? You look yourself in the mirror and go, oh, I was excited today because somebody fucked up. Holy fucking shit. And you're going to present yourself as holier than... Anyway. So here are some definitions of hater. I put down some points. They're, again, number one, they're upset when you succeed. If you do something great or... shit. Like, I mean, I guess I didn't know that this was going to happen, but when I started doing this podcast, I knew there were going to be some ripples and some waves. I didn't realize it would happen as big and as fast as it did, but fuck, you guys can see at the beginning, I couldn't get my audio right. The lighting was fucked up. I'm still not that great at this. Like, the sound is wrong a lot of times. I say dumb shit, you know. So I make mistakes all the time, but here I think is the thing. If you have the balls to fucking try something like this, to put your fucking face and your voice out on the internet and say things that you think and open yourself up to criticism, man, it takes some fucking balls. You know, I've watched, before I started doing this, and I'm a big fan of lots of other people's podcasts. I fucking see all kinds of shit like that. And it impresses the shit out of me. When you think about that baseline, holy shit, there aren't that many people who have the nuts to sack up and do a thing like that. And I'm not trying to pat myself on the back. I'm just letting you know that what I've done and what lots of people have done is broken through fear. I talk about it all the time. It's a scary thing to put yourself out there. It doesn't really scare me, but for lots of people it would. And that's what's going on in the head of somebody who knows you, and they see you do a thing that they'd be afraid to do themselves. You know what I mean? So then when you succeed at it, define success as you will, but they're going to try to bring you down because they feel badly about themselves. They're like, fuck, if I just had I could do that, but I'm afraid, and I'm ashamed that I'm afraid. That's what's going on in their heads, okay? It's true. Yeah, so the whole idea, let's think about that too. More about the hater. This could be a person, like I said, I think they fall into the category of fan as well. Because, again, they're going to know enough about you to be following along and paying attention. If you're in a position like some kind of a public position of some sort, whether you're, you know, a head coach or you own a business or you are something where people know who you are and you don't really know them as well as they see you. They see you all the time and kind of feel like they know who you are. You're going to have some of this. I mean, because you're in the position that they think that they should be in. And let me tell you this too. When you get to that spot, and I was a head varsity coach years ago, and I don't have any interest in doing that anymore, but I know what it's like to be there. It's just a bunch of fucking headaches. It's a bunch of putting out fires all the time and fixing shit, and it ain't the easiest thing in the world. So if you're looking up at that guy or girl, whoever it is that you're going, man, I could do that better. I could do that better. Well, fucking go do it. Just try it. You know what I mean? Or shadow their job or do something where you can see what it's really like to carry the stress around of what it is to be in that position. And those of you who are in those positions, you know that shit. I'm not telling you anything you don't know, but know this. Those fucking, the haters, they've got no idea what your life is like. They have no idea what your job is like or whatever the thing is that you're doing that they think they can do better. They don't fucking know. They've never been there. If they had been there, they'd be treating you very differently. They'd be looking at you as a colleague, and they'd be talking to you like an equal, instead of, again, to hate is to elevate, putting you up on this pedestal and just sitting back in the comfort of their living room or in their office or on their phone and sending out fucking turdgrams when you do something they don't like. That's just the way it is. You know, I've said this before, when you elevate to a certain position, no matter what you're doing, there are always going to be people who don't like what you're doing. And again, it comes back to them wishing they could be there and them hating that they're not. So the shit that they're flinging at you is really how they feel about themselves. You've got to keep that in mind through this whole thing. You know, those are the two main points. I'll keep going back to that. What they're shooting at you is how they feel about themselves, and the fact that you got haters is a good thing. It means your life's going well. If you were shit stained, nobody'd fucking hate on you. They'd just walk by you. You know what I mean? Other things that define haters. These are generally people who are insecure, okay, not comfortable in who they are. And usually what goes along with insecurity is immaturity, same thing. And immaturity isn't necessarily determined by age. I mean, I think it generally is, but there's very immature older people and there's very mature younger people. This is somebody who they're excited about your losses over their own successes. They would rather see you fail than see themselves succeed. Okay? That's a much more common dynamic than you'd think, and what that really means is it's just the easy way out. Like, to succeed themselves would mean taking the chance of failing. Right? And that's what they won't. That's what a hater doesn't want to do. They don't want to they don't want to look in the mirror and see themselves honestly. Like we talked about in the freedom episode, we talked about what real emotional freedom is. And that's a person that's not going to be able to look in the mirror with themselves, let alone with somebody else, which is much harder. So that's generally one of the traits, somebody who is, going to fight for your losses over fighting for their own success. Somebody who's afraid to take risks, somebody who's afraid to take chances, much more like to be a hater. This is a person who's going to, when you ask them, and look around your circle, whether you've succeeded in life or you haven't, whether you've done what you want to do or you haven't, look around your circle. When you think about taking I forgot the author, but he talks about taking moonshots. And these are like, you know what, fuck it, I'm going to be an astronaut. I don't know the connection between moon and astronaut, but whatever, something big that you want to try to do. Look around your circle, and I bet you can predict which of your friends would go, fuck yeah, motherfucker, go get them. Kick some ass. And I hope that's all of your people, but my guess is you've got a few of them who are going to say, I don't know, man, that's a big risk. You probably better just, keep your head down, keep grinding. That attitude is the attitude that haters carry, okay? I'm not going to tell you who this was, but I called somebody very close to me when all that shit went down with football, and I was like, you know what? What would you do? And he said, you should just fold that podcast up, put it away, move away, and go back and just get a job, keep your head down. And, I'm like, holy fucking shit. I just ran into a hater. I can't believe it. It shocked the shit out of me because this came out of a person that it should not have come out of. But that's what it is. That's a hater mentality. Somebody who's going to just sit back and take shots at you because they won't take any risks themselves. That's it. And they'll convince you not to try. And that's it. That's kind of the main piece behind it. Ultimately, a hater is angry at themselves for not only not achieving, but for being afraid of even trying. These are people who they don't want to find their limits because they're afraid of it. When I work out, I go as hard as I can, and I'll find my limits. I know how fast I can. Let's see how fast I can go. And if I don't know. I just have always had that mindset. Like, I'm okay with failing. Fuck, I went axe throwing, a couple of months ago. And I was fucking terrible at it. I thought, man, I'll be great because I cut a lot of firewood. I have a lot of, nice axes. And I was awful at it. But I'm like, well, let's see if I can get good at it. I mean, I was frustrated at first. But then I kind of got my stroke on, and I started getting a little bit better. Trying a new thing, and you might fail, but you know what? It might be a great way to improve yourself and get better. I don't know. Like I said, that's a thing that I think a hater wouldn't do. And they talk about, and I've talked about this before, that you are the sum of your 5 closest people, your 5 closest friends, family members, whatever they are. You are the sum of them. Like, you're basically going to be like them. And I think that there's some pieces to that. Now, number one is you tend to attract people who are like you anyway. So there's that from the beginning. And the longer that you're with some people, the better friends you become with someone, the more likely you are to open up to them and share who you are and what you have in your life and your concerns and your triumphs and your disasters. And as you do that, you are going to get reactions and advice and interest and disinterest and a whole combination of all these reactions from these 5 people in your circle. And if the feedback that you're getting from these people that you trust and believe in and they have your back is more on the, oh, you know what, I don't think that's a thing you should try to do. It seems like a lot of work for nothing. Or it seems like you could really lose a lot if you did that. That, you guys, is somebody with an external locus of control. We talked about locus of control a few weeks ago. You should have more people in your circle, or at least the ones you look for advice. Internal locus of control. People who believe that I'm in control of my life. I decide, what's going to happen to me, how successful I'm going to be. Those are the people you need to have around. You like it or not, we're a tribal society. Like I said, I talked about Ted Kaczynski, the Unabomber. He's weird that he could stay the fuck out in the woods and be away from everybody all the time. I think that's unnatural for humans. I think we're supposed to be around people. And that being the case, again, that's why they say that you're the sum of the 5 people. It isn't just that you attract people like you. It's also that they're going to give you advice. And you're going to see what they're doing, and you're going to give them advice. And you'll invariably kind of find a leveling, like a common ground between all of you. That's how that's going to go. So be fucking careful. Who you put in those circles. I mean, people might be hating on you, you don't even know it. They don't even know it. You know what I mean? They don't want to take chances, so they don't want you to take chances. Because if you take a chance and you win, they look bad. It's true. I got a pretty good buddy, known him a long, long time. He's a fucking hater. I know that if I tell him, hey, I'm going to take this risk or I'm going to do this, he's going, no, you shouldn't do that. So I don't ask him for advice. Yeah, that's how they work. So that's, okay, the difference between a troll. Again, troll is somebody you don't know. And I think a real hater is somebody who's actually partly in your life. You have them. They're around you. I'm sure you can you could probably count 3 of them right now, if you really think about it. So the third piece here that I wanted to cover is, I think it's important to address this cancel culture thing going on. Like, in episode 18, which I will re-release at some point, there's a couple of things I got to take out of there, but I will re-release it. I hope you guys will forgive me. I need a little bit more perspective on that to decide exactly what I want to release. Might be all of it, probably won't be. And what parts I think don't follow my message, because that's ultimately what I have to decide here. I've got to stay on my message, which is, again, fear is a poison in your life. Hard work gets rid of it. It's the cure. And that's kind of the roundabout thing that we're getting after here. When that comes back out, my guess is the mob, which is a mob of trolls, they're going to go back at me to try to cancel me. All right. So I got canceled from the football program. I got burned at the stake. And I'm an author, so I figure that's next. They're going to burn my book, essentially. But you know what? Here's the thing. You guys, I talk about Jordan Peterson all the time. Do you know how he got famous? Like really famous? This guy's he's a psychologist at University of Toronto. Not exactly Hollywood. The reason he got famous was something to do with, and I could go into the details of it, but basically the university wanted to make a university law, that compelled his speech, that told him, you must address anyone by any pronoun that is required. Which, it's a nice idea, I suppose. But his argument was this: you can't make a law that tells me how to talk. Whether or not it had anything to do with, LGBTQ and all that crap, it was just that concept. You can't make laws telling me how to speak. That's the opposite of freedom of speech. Wouldn't you agree? So that's the basis of his argument. And what he said as a side note was, well, listen, if any student comes up to me in the world, they want me to call him, Johnny Fishbones, I'll fucking call him that. I don't care. If that's your preference, I'm all for it. If you identify as a fairy or a turtle, I'll do it. That's what he said. He's like, completely separate from that, right? And I don't give, that doesn't bother me either. If you tell me that your name is, Sea Squirrel, I'll call you fucking Sea Squirrel. I don't care. I'm not going to make a judgment on you. Live your life as you will. I'll live mine as I will. But that was his concept, was you can't make a law that tells me how to speak. And the next step to that is, because speaking really is just it's an extension of how you think. So essentially that's a law telling you how to think. Not cool, right? So he made a stand on that. And of course the LGBTQ community and, liberals everywhere united against him. And essentially he became famous. I mean, that's how he got famous. And man, I'm fucking glad he did, because I might never have heard of him. The guy's fucking brilliant, and I've learned so much from him. He's not a bigot or a sexist or whatever the hell you call somebody who doesn't want to. He didn't say he wouldn't do it. He just said, you can't make a law that tells me I have to. There's a big fucking difference there. Big difference. That's how he got famous. So know this, that as you stack up haters, I mean, if fame is your goal, if like me, you have something to sell. I mean, after this whole shit with the football thing, you want to know what happened to my views on here? Fuck, man, I'd be lucky to get 50, 60 views. And now I'm getting, my last 2 episodes ago, I got fucking 700. You went through the fucking roof. Thanks, haters. Now, I haven't gotten my check yet this month for book sales, but I guarantee you that's gone up. Guaranteed. Actually, I do know that the Audible, I've sold like 55 more copies on Audible in the last 2 weeks. That's way more than I was selling before. So, again, thanks, haters. And that's why, again, another reason why I'm calling them fans. These are people who follow what you do and comment on your shit, and they're fucking fans. They're paying so much attention to you, it's like a fucking fan. And again, to hate is to elevate. They're putting you above them. Another positive. So yeah, so that's the mob and the cancel culture. They'll try to take you down. We talked about that in episode 18, which I will re-release at some point. Know this, that in the French Revolution, I got a buddy who's really into history. He's going to love this. The people who were running the guillotines early on were the ones getting their heads chopped off, and I'm halfway through. And Napoleon had this quote, let's give him a whiff of grape shot. If you are a hater, if you're trying to take people down, you will get taken down. That's how it works. Bottom line is this, whether it's online or in real life, you're making enemies. You go after somebody, even with a fake name, the amount of hate and anger that it takes to do a thing like that, I mean, you're probably not going to turn around and be real nice to your dog or be real nice to the person you run into at the grocery store. You're feeding the wrong part of yourself. You've got a white wolf and a black wolf, or a light wolf and a dark, whatever you want to say it, light and dark, or evil and not evil. If you want to feed that mean wolf, he'll get stronger and he'll run around in your life. You want to feed the happy wolf, then he'll get stronger and you'll have more positive in there. I don't know, just a thing to think about. So how to avoid it all? What do you do when you get to, I read this really good article about how to navigate the book burning cancel culture as an author. And now I'm a fucking author, and cool. Couple of tips, and I think these will help you. Number one, like I talked about in 17, you're never going to make everybody happy. So don't fucking try. Know your target audience. Okay? Know the people that it's important to you, that they are with you. They are behind you. Whoever that might be. People that work for you, people that you work for, people on your staff, whoever it is that might be around you. Figure out who those people are that you want to try to make happy. And don't make it the angry motherfuckers, because you can't make those guys happy. You can't. So don't try. If they're angry at you, well, fuck, they were angry already anyway. So whatever. Know your audience. And I'll tell you what, I've yet to piss off somebody who agreed with me. I know that sounds real simple, but it is real simple. People who agree with you don't get angry because they fucking agree with you. And they're always going to be out there. You're going to have people who agree with you. Don't do this, and I didn't. If you listen to 19, I owned what I did. I made a mistake and I owned it. I extended my condolences and apologies to the people who were hurt by that, but I'm not going to fucking apologize to any of the trolls who were, again, saying I should be arrested and, calling me a turd sandwich and all that shit. I'm not going to, fuck you. You know what I mean? If somebody comes to me and asks me, I'll talk to them. I'll answer them. That's pretty simple. But yeah, that's part of how you avoid it. Know your audience. We go back to 17. Know that you're going to piss some people off sometimes. Be okay with it. Yeah, that's how it goes. So, yeah, that's haters. Again, I've learned a lot about it just in the last few weeks here because now I have a bunch. But again, from the beginning, haters elevate you. They're putting you above them. That's one. Number two means that you've accomplished something. You're doing something well. Even if it's just taking risks, even if it's just being charismatic, being handsome, being well-spoken, being well-dressed, having a good life, people will hate that, okay? And that's because there's something in them. They don't like themselves, and they don't want to take risks, and they're embarrassed by themselves. That's who it is that usually is fucking with you. Now, be careful, again, because you're going to have people in your circle who, they're going to give you bad advice. They're going to tell you not to take those moonshots. They're going to be there, so just be aware of that. And it doesn't mean you write that person off. Like that guy that told me that I should just ball this up and throw it away. I'm not going to ball him up and throw him away. That's just how he thinks. That's how he runs his life. Not how I run mine. I appreciate the advice, but not how I do it. You do your way, I'll do mine. Yeah, that's basically it. If you wasn't you, you would be hating on you. That's the bottom line. Haters are motivators. Haters elevate you. Enjoy the shit out of them. If you can, just laugh and know that your life is going well. And theirs, sadly, are not. And that's okay. Again, everything that's in your life, you put it there. Everything you have, you worked for it. And it's the same thing for them. If they've got hate and negativity in their lives, they put it there. You didn't. It's not you. You're just the thing that crossed their path. All right? So don't take that shit personally. You got to ignore it. Go on about being your bad self, kicking ass. And I'm sure you'll continue to get better and better. My name is Travis Neville. I wrote this book called The Jossman Method. I do this podcast called The Travis Neville Podcast. Thanks for everybody who's been encouraging me lately. I've gotten some great calls and some really cool text messages from people who are very impressive themselves. So thanks to everybody for the help. I will keep going with this, of course, trying to make people better and happier and saying shit that other people can't say. I think that a lot of stuff I say, if I don't say it, nobody else will. And I've heard that phrase from a lot of people. So, again, Travis Neville Podcast. I hope that today helped you in some way to get your shit together. Have a great day.